And I'm Dave Nesbitt.
We're here at Berry Park, also known as Meadowbrook Detention Basin, to talk about some of our ideas to improve the habitats and conditions for the local herpetofauna, as well as the community that uses this park recreationally. Berry Park is located in Syracuse, New York, and was built on a former city landfill. It is approximately 15 acres and has Meadowbrook running through it. Its original purpose was for a floodwater retention basin, but also is used recreationally. Species include green frogs, bullfrogs, American toads, spring peepers, red-backed and dusky salamanders, painted and snapping turtles, as well as garter and brown snakes. Here are some of our ideas for what we want to do to improve Berry Park. Our first objective is to create a connective corridor for the herp species to get up to the woods area.
This is the only section of the wooded area that is actually on the edge of the pond. And this pathway provides a huge gap between the forested pond edge and the section of major forest. What we'd like to do is build a raised walkway here to get the pedestrians up off the ground and reconnect the wooded section by the pond to the main section of the woods, so that there's a connective corridor for herpetofauna to travel from the water back and forth to the woods. We'd also like to install a couple of small vernal pools here on the hillside above floodline to encourage salamanders to have a place to breed safely, because there's so many fish in the pond, it's not really safe for them to use it as a breeding ground.
Based on its habitat requirements, as well as what is available at Berry Park, we believe that the eastern or red-spotted newt would be a good candidate for introduction.
Well, Phragmites is a very, very invasive species of grass. It grows so densely that it completely outcompetes all native vegetation, and it gives nothing back to any of the natural wildlife. We would like to remove all of the Phragmites in the park and replace it with native plants that might provide food sources for the local herpetofauna and other wildlife in the park.
Eastern cottonwood, black willow, woolgrass, butterfly weed, and blue flag are all native New York plants ranging from trees to flowers that would benefit the herpetofauna, as well as be aesthetically pleasing to visitors of the park. Another objective involves various habitat improvements throughout the park, one of which being to provide basking trees in the large pond area for snake and turtle species.
We've got a nice open meadow here, and because we want to introduce new snake species, we also want to give them a place to overwinter. This is an ideal setting to build snake hibernaculums, or even amphibian hibernaculums, because it's an open area where they'll get a lot of sunshine, it provides basking, and it will help maintain temperatures in the winter by being more open.
Based on their habitat requirements, the red-bellied snake, ringneck snake, and northern water snake would all do well in the park, especially with the addition of the hibernaculum and improvements to the streams.
Dr. Aragoni indicated to us that he never sees this portion of the park being used for anything. We thought it would be a great idea to set up an artificial stream with a series of small pools to benefit local herpetofauna. Up here on the hill, we could put a fountain pool type thing that would be attractive to the public and provide a congregation area. And that in turn would feed a small stream coming down this hill and winding through this open grassy area through a series of pools. This would also help improve water quality through filtration and provide extra spots for local herpetofauna to bask, to swim, to be safe from the predators that they'll find in the water. One of the reasons this park was formed was as a catch-all for storm runoff. Water comes in from street drains, flows down into the main pool area. One of the things we'd like to do, is build an artificial waterfall where this water is coming in from the storm drains, pump it back up to the top of the hill through an artificial waterfall system to provide extra filtration to help improve water quality.
The northern leopard frog, the wood frog, and the pickerel frog would all be good candidates for introduction into the park.
Behind me is a giant sea of Phragmites. Great illustration of just how invasive this plant is and a good example of why we want to remove it to replace it with native plants. But when we do that, we're going to have this huge open meadow. And we thought we'd like to alter the landscape to benefit the herpetofauna. We want to build a walkway, an elevated walkway across the center of the meadow, but develop the lower land areas, installing more vernal pools, some hummocks, hillocks, logs, places for herpetofauna to hide, to bask. And actually we wanted to provide turtles a place to lay their eggs, so we decided that we could build a very large raised mound. We have to keep in mind that this whole area is inundated during flooding periods, so that the mound will have to be built high enough that should the turtles nest in it and the place becomes flooded, their nests don't become inundated with water.
Another objective for Berry Park is to get the community more involved. One way of doing this is to install informative signs throughout the park. This can have information on the herpetofauna as well as various plant and wildlife species. Another way to get the community involved and inform them of the improvements to the park is to do a community cleanup project. There's various garbage around the park, and it would improve the settings aesthetically as well as for wildlife.